Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here. So glad you decided to tune in. Hey, it is Friday night in the big town, and we are ready to bring you some exciting Dodgers action. Super excited. Hey, man, I am so pumped for this show. And let me actually get that off of that. I'm not exactly sure where that's coming from. So give me just a second here, and I will see if I can stop that, figure out what that is. Hold on one second here. I don't think you're hearing it, but I am hearing it in my ear, and I'm not exactly sure where that echo is coming from. So give me just 1 second here. I think that's it right here. Hold on 1 second. Let me go back and cut back and see if I can find that echo. Hold on 1 second. Going to try this one more time and see if I have an echo this time, and I do not have an echo as of right now. So we're going to try this one more time. Not exactly sure where that came from and was not going to deal with that for the entire show. So, hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in. There it is again. All right, hopefully I found my culprit this time. They're not exactly sure where all that is coming from, but anyways, okay, we are back. We are actually live on Twitter. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Instagram. So we have added those three platforms, so super excited about that. And so, yes, I do have my echo fixed. So sometimes technology goes crazy. I know the last show I had a few blips there. I got all those figured out, and so now just got to figure out which ones all to mute and all that kind of stuff. So a little bit of new stuff here. I am learning as I go, and I am the only one, as far as Dodgers Dogs goes, that I am the producer and all that all together. So, hey, we are set to go, ready to have a great show. John Rooney is in the house. Hey, Jay Roons, how you doing, my buddy? I hope you're doing very, very, very well with a different organization now, man. One of my favorites, Carson Hobbs, in the house as well, and a lot of wonderful Dodgers fans. So going to be a super exciting show tonight. Here's what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about Tanner Scott. We're going to talk about his just kind of journey to the Dodgers and kind of how he got here and how fun it's been just kind of following him after, when he signed with the Dodgers, kind of following his journey, because, obviously here on Dodgers Dogs, our sweet spot is with the prospects. It's with the younger guys, and it's with the guys that have those journeys like the Drew Havenses, the John Rooneys, the Alec Gamboas, the Cody Hosies, now the Ryan Wards, those kind of guys, the Austin Gothiers, they're dear to our heart. Those are the guys that we really enjoy covering. Tanner Scott kind of has one of those stories, so we're going to talk quite a bit about him. We're going to talk about the Roki Sasaki press conference, and we're going to talk about just kind of some of the thoughts that he had, some of the ideas he had, and then we're going to talk about the story of Oklahoma City, how they ended up being the Comets. We're going to back it all the way up to kind of all of the details that went into it all getting started. We have a great crowd logging in. I'm glad everybody continued to stick with me through those first initial rough moments there, trying to figure out where that echo is at. So thank you so much for joining Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network Friday night in the Big Town. And then what we're going to do to end the show tonight for our Down the Farm segment, we are going to talk all about the non-roster invitees for the Dodgers this spring training. So super excited about everything we're going to talk about today. And then also on Sunday, I've got the AAA play-by-play voice of the Oklahoma City Comets, Alex Friedman, joining the show. So I'm very, very, very excited about that and cannot wait to talk to Alex Friedman again. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So let's dive into our first topic tonight. And as I mentioned just a minute ago, Tanner Scott. This is a guy that not last year, not 2024, but 2023, Austin at the trade deadline then was big on Tanner Scott. Now, why was Austin big on Tanner Scott? Because if you go the trade route, so the difference really between trade route and free agency, we'll get into that here in a minute. Trade route means that you can go get a Tanner Scott, a guy like that, maybe a Devin Williams, or, we saw the Dodgers get a Max Scherzer. So elite type talent, but not have to sign them. We saw the Dodgers went out of their comfort zone to get Tanner Scott. They went 4 years for a reliever. They just really don't. As a matter of fact, I can't remember when they did. They just don't do that very often, right? So if you go the free agency market, then you have to compete with the free agency market, right? Which means you're going to be probably paying inflated salaries, definitely inflated amounts of years. So in 2023 at the trade deadline, Austin wanted the Dodgers to go get Tanner Scott then, and that's because you would have had him for the remainder of that year and then in 2024, and then that would have given you the flexibility that you needed to go forward from there. So going and signing a free agent now, instead of trading for a reliever or whoever it may be, now you have a 4-year contract instead of a one, maybe a little bit longer than a 1-year contract. But hey, that is something the Dodgers definitely felt like was worthy in the Tanner Scott situation, and it's because he has become, not is or not was or not any of that. It is he has become, through his big-time baseball journey, one of the best relievers in all the game of baseball. Tanner Scott, no doubt about it, has become. So listen to this journey right here. So in the offseason, first of all, one of the reasons why that Tanner Scott chose the Dodgers, obviously being in Los Angeles, is a plus. I mean, it's like whenever, Arizona State and Arizona entered the Big 12, I tried to tell everybody that with this transfer portal in college baseball and college whatever, Arizona State was terrible in football, right? And then this last year, they made the playoffs and almost beat Texas. And if you watch my O State Daily stuff or any of that, I mean, that was very predictable. I said even when Arizona State came into the conference as a terrible football team, they were going to be one of the teams to reckon with. And the reason is because Tempe, Arizona is a destination spot for these transfer guys. So Los Angeles, definitely first and foremost from a geographical location perspective, is just an incredible destination spot, especially if you have enough money to enjoy it, right? I mean, if you have money that you can go do kind of some of the things that you want to do, then, man, LA, what a great place. Is there a better place on earth, right? And then also, so he loved the destination of Los Angeles, and then also the Dodgers called him first. Now, why did the Dodgers call him first? Because, let's go back to what I just mentioned just a minute ago, 2023, the Dodgers were looking at him at the trade deadline when he was still with Miami, when he was with him and Andrew Puck and all those really good Andrew Nardi and all the really good lefties it was Jesus Luzardo the Miami Marlins, if you go back to some of our past shows, the Miami Marlins have been the perfect trade partner in terms of pitching for the Dodgers. So the Dodgers really started scoping out Andrew Puck, Andrew Nardi, specifically Tanner Scott, way back then. So he's been on their mind forever, and I talk about this all the time. The Dodgers see somebody that they like, and then they absolutely get aggressive at going and getting that player whenever that player becomes available and they have the ability to strike, right? So they've been eyeing Tanner Scott in 2023. Last year, he goes to the Padres, and he does great against the Dodgers. The Dodgers see him again up close and personal, and they're like, man, I sure would like to have that guy on my team instead of that guy being pitching against my team. So the Dodgers were the first one totally sold after eyeing him since 2023, seeing him in person last year, totally sold on what do we have to do to get Tanner Scott, and they are the first ones to call on him in the offseason. That plays a factor. And then the Dodgers talked to Tanner Scott, and literally, of course, he wants the 4 years and he wants the good contract, but literally one of the first things out of his mouth is, hey guys, I want to win a World Series. I am hungry to win a World Series. I really just want to win. That's just kind of what I want to do. Now, obviously, I'm a free agent. This is probably my last chance as a 30-year-old to really sign that big contract. So yes, I do want the contract, but most of all, I want to win. So where is the one place where I can, A, get the 4-year contract and the money that I deserve in probably my last big contract situation, and then also have the best chance to win a World Series? That becomes a no-brainer. That team becomes the Dodgers. So how did Tanner Scott get to where he is at? So, first of all, obviously, Los Angeles has become the destination for free agents, right? But let's go all the way back to the beginning, okay? Tanner Scott is a guy that I talk about all the time as far as a lot of these Dodgers prospects in the system where I don't feel like the Dodgers are near patient enough, right? He is the absolute perfect case study as to why I think that's the case. Because Tanner Scott, it took him forever to become a good major league pitcher. Not a great major league pitcher, just a good major league pitcher. Okay, he signed in 2014 with the Orioles. He was with them all the way up through 2019. Made his debut, had like a 1.2 inning debut in 2017, but really got things started in 2018. And point blank, you can see right here, 5.40 ERA and 53.1 innings in 2018, 4.70 ERA, 28.1 innings in 2019. So in his first 79 and 2/3 innings, Tanner Scott had an ERA over 5, right? Not good. He had a whip that was around 1.7, okay? Dodgers fans would be kicking this guy to the curb. They would be telling the Dodgers to take this guy and send him to the moon after those two types of years. So the COVID 2020 season hits, and boom, Tanner Scott, who's always had great stuff. Finally, the execution caught up with the stuff. He has the great 2020. But then 2021 rolls around, not a good year again. 2022, not a good year again. So really, through his I'm not going to count 2017 because it was only 1.2 innings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through his first 5 seasons, okay, and almost 200 innings pitched as a major leaguer. Tanner Scott was not a good pitcher at all. Talented, yes. Good pitcher, no. Okay, 2021, 2022, not good. 2023, this is the year I was talking about that Austin really kind of picked up on him at the trade deadline and this is the year the Dodgers really started picking up on him. 2.31 ERA, average against 191, whip less than 1. This is where Tanner Scott turned the corner. After 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full seasons as a major leaguer, after almost 200 innings, finally, in 2023, Tanner Scott catches up with his talent and becomes the elite pitcher that he has become. Then in 2024, obviously, he was elite, and he got sent to the Padres. And we saw him pitch very well against the Dodgers just last year. So that just goes to show you that, hey, even for guys like Tanner Scott, who the Dodgers are super excited that they just picked up out of free agency, it takes a while. And so whenever I just keep hearing that, oh, Bobby Miller is washed, or oh, Michael Grove stinks, or oh, James Outman can't hit, or what, when I hear that, it just, these stories like Tanner Scott that are, matter of fact, most major leaguers have a story similar to him. There's more guys that have stories similar to him than there are guys like Bobby Witt Jr. that just literally come up and are good and really don't ever have any struggles. So when I hear all this talk about the younger guys in the Dodgers system, it just drives me insane because it's just not accurate whatsoever, because I keep saying runway, opportunity, chances to get comfortable at the major league level. Well, there you go, right there. There is the perfect case scenario with Tanner Scott. And this year, the Dodgers are going to pick him up. And yes, he is going to get a lot of saves. He is going to be one of, not the only, but one of the guys for the Dodgers that will be asked to get the last 3 outs. And that is super exciting because Tanner Scott is just simply a fantastic pitcher. We know that. We saw him up close and personal, and just looking at this kind of his stuff. I mean, obviously, he's a left-hander that can approach 100 miles an hour. Let me get back to some of this right here. Left-hander that can approach 100 miles an hour, and look at this, 96th percentile in pitch. I mean, it's all red, right? I mean, everything here is red. Fastball run value, 95 percentile. Breaking run value, 75 percentile. Expected ERA, there's another one, because, hey, it's one thing to say that you've done good in the past. It's another for the Dodgers to sign a reliever to 4 years. They've got to be pretty certain as to what they think is going to happen in the future. There's a pretty good indication with expected ERA right there at a 90 percentile. Fastball velo, 91 percentile. Average exit velo, only 84.3. 100 percentile, right? Chase percentage, 84 percentile. Whip percentage, K percentage, barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, ground ball percentage. Extension isn't great, but neither is Justin Robleski's. You can deal with that when you have the type of fantastic stuff and you're left-handed for Tanner Scott. So as you can see, everything on his StatCast is red. So if you want to know why the Dodgers went out of their comfort zone and signed a guy to 4 years, one is the Dodgers have a window to win multiple championships, and they are going for the jugular. That is number one. This is just another jugular move, a sign that the Dodgers are going for the jugular, and that type of move for this organization. But two, the expected numbers are good, and three, his numbers are such in the red that you just saw a minute ago that it screams elite, totally elite, everything. So it's not like, okay, well, his fastball is elite, but then there's like a million other things that aren't elite, right? Literally everything. I'm going to show you this again. I'm going to click this back over, let you look again. Everything on here is elite. So I'm going to say it again. The long contracts the Dodgers offer to the Hall of Famer type guys, obviously Tanner Scott's not a Hall of Famer, but they went outside of their normal box for relievers because everything is elite. Everything not only is elite, the expected numbers are good, and everything, just looking at that StatCast information, everything suggests that it will continue to be great as well. So that's why, and then another reason is when you look at the journey of Tanner Scott, again, it took him, I'm going to click this back over one more time so you can see this. When you look at the journey of Tanner Scott one more time, it took him 5 complete seasons, almost 200 innings, to be just a good major leaguer. So he knows how to grind. He knows how to deal with failure. The Dodgers know that he has had to work and earn and grind his way to become the type of pitcher that he is. So he's not entitled. He's not like one of those little spoiled, just I'm so good that I've never had any struggles type of guy. So I say that to say that fits the Dodgers culture perfectly, because he's going to be a guy that does not feel entitled to anything. He's going to be a guy that feels like he has to earn everything, because in his career, he absolutely has had to earn everything in terms of his success at the major league level. So could not be more excited about Tanner Scott. As far as Roki Sasaki, I'll tell you, I watched his entire press conference, and I could not be more impressed with Roki Sasaki and just kind of some of his comments. So I wanted to dive into one thing that he got into, a couple of things, but the biggest thing for Roki Sasaki, he was very grateful for the attention he got. The first thing I wanted to mention about what Roki Sasaki said was he felt like he wanted to go to the organization where he could grow the most. Okay? He didn't say win, he said grow. So when he evaluated all the different teams, and he said a lot of teams contacted him, he wanted to go to the team that developed him the best. So why is that such a big deal? Because Roki Sasaki is coming out 2 years early. So he's signing a minor league contract, and he let the cat out of the bag in his press conference. So instead of playing in Japan and letting the people in Japan develop him for these next 2 years, because in 2 years, Roki Sasaki is going to be available to sign a huge contract, right? Okay, or whenever the Dodgers decide to select his contract, whenever that may be, and whenever he comes up for arbitration and that kind of deal. But he felt like the Dodgers could develop him better in these next couple of years than anybody in Japan or any other team in the major leagues. So when the Dodgers do develop him, they will put him in the best opportunity to sign the biggest contract. So when you say, is it about money? Absolutely, it's about money. It's about the Dodgers developing Roki Sasaki to the best of his ability, better than anybody else could, to put him in the position here in a couple of years to sign the biggest contract that he possibly could. So developing in the Dodgers system, getting major league experience with the Dodgers, winning a World Series with the Dodgers, will put Roki Sasaki in a position to sign a massively bigger contract than he ever probably would have in Japan. I think that's at least one way that he is looking at that. And then also he said, hey, yeah, it's not a priority to have a Japanese player on the team, but he did want to know that Japanese players are embraced. Obviously, I mean, with the Dodgers, there's nobody that embraces the Japanese player and the Japanese culture better. Here's another one, the stability of the front office. So the Dodgers, man, I've gone on and on and on about the tremendous decisions that they have made to put themselves in the position that they are in terms of being able to win a World Series. And other guys, other players see that just like I do. I'm looking at this from a professional's perspective, looking at it just kind of outside in. If I was a free agent player, no doubt, no question, the Dodgers would be the team that I would want to go to. And not just because you could win a World Series, but because of what we just talked about with Roki Sasaki, that they will develop you the most. They will put you in the best position to make the most amount of money on your next contract. They'll probably pay you the most amount of money now. They'll develop you and give you the best chance to make the most amount of money on your next contract. Then meanwhile, you're going to win a couple of World Series, and you're going to get to live in Los Angeles, right? I mean, my gosh, think about just how attractive Los Angeles is as a free agent destination. So probably the most impressive thing about Roki Sasaki in terms of him becoming a part of the Dodgers was that this was not just a slam dunk easy decision for him. It is obvious. Now, I think from the time it started, I think the destiny was the odds were he was going to end up in Los Angeles. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I will say he did a lot of deep thinking. And I'll say this. You guys hear me talk all the time about the wonderful decision making, the culture, the everyday awesomeness of the way that this organization is ran. And I'm saying that beyond wins and losses, because when you're talking about AAA Oklahoma City, AA Tulsa, High A Great Lakes, Single A Rancho Cucamonga, I couldn't even tell you what their records are last year. Okay, I mean, Oklahoma City, whenever they were the Dodgers a couple of years ago, they made the PCL championship. I kind of cared, kind of didn't, right? I mean, yay, AAA championship. Woohoo. Every single guy on that team, as fun as it was to win that AAA championship, would much rather have been in LA not having to deal with playing in that championship game. So it's like, okay, yeah, Drew Avens, greatest player maybe ever in Oklahoma City franchise history. Not exaggerating. Woohoo. That means you didn't make the major leagues, right? So when I talk about all this greatness from an everyday perspective, I'm not talking about wins and losses. I truly do believe that the process of creating such a great culture, the wins and losses are a byproduct, no doubt. I mean, if you look at like the Royals, the Royals, their entire revenue from last year is like 3/4 of the payroll of the Dodgers. So there's no doubt the Dodgers have massive advantages. But still, it wouldn't matter if players didn't want to come to Los Angeles. Right now, Steve Cohen, we know the Yankees will always have however much money they need, right? The Cardinals have won more championships than anybody in baseball, okay? Right now, yes, the Dodgers have the most amount of money, but they also have the most amount of appeal, okay? And the money is only a part of that appeal, but I don't even think it's at the forefront. I think at the forefront of the appeal for these free agents is the developmental system you heard from Roki Sasaki, and then it's the ability to win a World Series or multiple World Series, because this front office is absolutely going for the jugular, like you heard from Tanner Scott. And then I think beyond that, the greatness of it is that you can do all of that, all of those intangible type things, all of those kind of other, a lot of people would consider to be other type things, while also signing big contracts with the Dodgers. You can come to Los Angeles and have your cake, and you can eat it too. It's an absolutely perfect case scenario. It's why the Dodgers continue to sign one free agent after the other. And again, it's just absolutely incredible that the Dodgers front office has been as aggressive as they have been to really just not ever say no to any of these guys that they want. Now, yes, there is a roster crunch. We've been talking about it all season. I'm not going to get into it again on this show because we've talked about, hey, 41 on the 40-man roster. That's just the beginning of your issues. How to get all these guys on the 40-man roster. The beginning of your issues, the biggest issues, are how do you get them on your active roster after spring training ends. But hey, there's a long ways to go until spring training starts. Certainly a long ways to go till the end of spring training. And we've had a lot of shows talking about the roster, so probably not going to dive into much of that tonight. But boy, do we have a wonderful crowd logged in here on Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Again, wanted to apologize just for a second for the echo early on. I wasn't exactly sure where that was coming from, and I wanted to get that corrected. So thank you so much to everybody who hung on with me. Hey, CNAB, Christopher Navarro, good evening. Thank you so much for joining. Craig Osterberg, thank you for joining. Tony Forkish, seems like these aeronautic rumors have legs. It's certainly everywhere in the media at this moment. We will see. Yes, and Kenneth Hall, you are right. Roki Sasaki, number one prospect. Zaire Hope, Dalton Rushing, Josue De Paula, several different top prospects in the Dodgers system. So super exciting. Not only are the Dodgers signing one free agent after the other, they also have more top prospects than they have had in quite a while. So Tony Forkas says, David Schoenfeld says of ESPN that the Dodgers are going after Alex Bregman. We'll see. I wouldn't think so, but we'll see. I mean, rumors are just what they are. Max Muncy is a good third baseman. So, and there would be some backlash to the Alex Bregman thing that I don't think it would. He's a great player. So we'll see. Hey, I'll say this. If the Dodgers front office thinks that Bregman would fit in from a cultural perspective, you heard it from the rookie Sasaki deal. A lot of that culture aspect is vetted. Whatever the front office says, I'm good with. That's where I took that stance on Carlos Correa. I will take that stance on everybody else as well. So do I think that rookie Sasaki will win Rookie of the Year, David Herrera? And if he does, the Dodgers will get another draft pick. I do not, because I don't think the Dodgers, I think they have a six-man rotation, for one, right? And then I think they'll be careful. Number two, I don't think you'll have the sample size to be. And then if there's any kind of adjustment period combined with the smaller sample size, I think that puts him pretty squarely behind the eight ball. So I think it would be quite a surprise to me if he was the Rookie of the Year. But if he did, that would be that would be a situation that would be fruitful for the Dodgers, because again, they'd get another draft pick. David Herrera, which pitcher gets traded first? Brazier, May, Gonsolin, or Grove? Well, the guys you need to trade first, I'll say this, the first three, because they are guys that you can, those are guys that are projected to be on the 26th. And like I said, your biggest problem isn't your 40-man. Michael Grove still has an option year left this year. So you can leave Michael Grove in Oklahoma City if you need to. You're not going to leave Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, or Ryan Brazier in Oklahoma City. Ryan Brazier, you can't. Dustin May, you can't. Tony Gonsolin's the only one that actually has a minor league option there. And then here's the problem. I've said it many different times. If you don't leave one spot open, which it doesn't look like the Dodgers are going to, for that up-down train in Oklahoma City, if you do send Tony Gonsolin to Oklahoma City, then you have no room to bring him back up. So I would think that the first two I would say Brazier, probably number one, because no minor league options. I would say probably May over Gonsolin because of no minor league options. I would say Michael Grove would probably be the least likely to be traded there because A, he has the least amount of value, least amount of return, and B, he's really the only guy that I think the Dodgers could foresee being okay with him spending quite a bit of time in AAA Oklahoma City. So that would be my pecking order there. CNAB, Christopher DeBarro. This is why I can't understand why people are giving up on Bobby Miller. He has electric stuff. Yeah, no, it doesn't. So I was talking to a former first-round draft pick today, actually, about this situation, okay? Guy who played professional baseball for 10 years, made it all the way up to AAA, and then was a AAA manager for several years, okay? And he point blank said the three worst places to be for a prospect are the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Mets. And what he meant by that is there's the least amount of opportunity. And so with the Dodgers, whenever you bob in, bob out, you don't have consistency. I cannot stress enough that that is not how you develop as a baseball player. You need the journey. Imagine if Tanner Scott, after 2019, whenever he was terrible, okay, he posted a 5.40 and a 4.78 ERA. His whip was 1.7, okay? Imagine if he was in the Dodgers organization, where would Tanner Scott have been? What would his journey have turned into? And then imagine at that point, it's only his third year in professional baseball, okay? At that point, he's 25 years old. And then he still has 3 years to be in the Dodgers organization before he becomes a free agent. He probably doesn't make it back up to the major leagues, right? And then he becomes he probably, at this point, not only is he not Tanner Scott, he might not even be in the major leagues. If he had grown up in the Dodgers system and had the opportunity that Justin Robleski, Landon Knack, Ben Kasparius, Bobby Miller, even Ryan Pepio, Michael Grove, if he had gotten the inconsistency up and down, bob and weave, no telling what Tanner Scott would be nowadays. And because he had that journey, because he continued to get opportunities, because he was talented, and the Marlins believed in him, and they weren't very good. They have the ability to do that, right? He turned into Tanner Scott. So totally agree with you there, CNAV, no doubt about it. CNAV says, I think Brazier goes first and May wants to be a starter still. Well, I can tell you with the way that the roster sits, it's not what you want to do. It is what's available, right? Because this is a roster that is absolutely loaded. Matter of fact, I'm going to get well, we got him right here. Okay, so I don't need to do that. MP electric stuff. He had the highest ERA in 2024. His girlfriend could probably pitch better. Yeah, MP. That if you're talking about Bobby Miller, absolutely he has electric stuff. I just took you through the Tanner Scott. You are the type of fan, and I don't mean to call you out, other than the fact that you're leaving really stupid comments on here about ERAs and girlfriends and all that kind of stuff, right? Which is, I mean, that's on you, man. People that read that, they're just going to giggle and they're going to have their opinion of you, right? But I just took you through the Tanner Scott situation. So if that's your comment on Bobby Miller, I'm going to leave that up there so people can actually read it and form their opinion of your comment there, because it's just completely out of touch. It's not at all. Again, I'm going to take you back. What would Tanner Scott be if that's if that is the type of approach that he was given when he was not good after 2019, right? David Herrera, also the Dodgers want swing and miss pitchers to make up for their average infield defense. And then also, it's a good point, David, because if you have Teo in left, Andy Paez in center, and Michael Conforto in right, your defense in the outfield isn't very good either, right? So I would agree. The swing and miss stuff is a way that the Dodgers can become more offensive and not be so concerned about maybe some defensive weaknesses. Showtime LA, can't wait to see Hope rushing into Paula and Ferris in spring training. Going to be a lot of fun. And Alex Freeland, no doubt. Lots and lots of fun. David Herrera wants to see Alex Freeland, Mr. John Rod 77. He also said he wanted to go to an organization with a stable front office. Yes, the Dodgers definitely have that. Charlie Stokes, no way trade Tony Gonsolin this year. He's our last 20-game winner. He can pitch, and he can pitch good when healthy. I would totally agree with that, and he has a minor league option, so that's why I kind of put Brazier and May in front of him. David Herrera, they won't do it for the award. They'll do it because he wants to be great. Of course, his health is first. Hey, Showtime LA, also love your Peyton Martin interview from a couple weeks ago. Seems like a great dude. And Peter Hubeck, I'm extremely high on. Also interviewed Hubeck. I have not got to Hyung-Sik Yang yet. I'm going to do that. I keep saying I'm going to do that. I just simply haven't got to that. So, yeah, he's definitely Showtime. I agree. A candidate for a breakout year, breakout type of prospect. And kind of interesting, when I did the Yunil Choi interview, remember that one? He was actually working out with Hyung-Sik Yang during the time he was talking. I talked to Yun Il Choi while he was at the gym working out. He took a break from working out to do the interview, and like 3 feet away from him working out with Hyung-Sik Yang. And so those two are good friends. And so I'm very excited to talk to Yang. I just keep forgetting to do it. I keep getting busy. And because of that, it's something I just haven't done yet. So David Herrera, spring training is going to be great to see if Kim and Paez pan out. Yeah, well, and again, in spring training, you get enough runway, and I think this is a big spring training for James Outman, too. He's another one you can put in that Tanner Scott boat. Massive amount of talent. Obviously has every tool in the book. If you write him off after 100 at-bats, then you and I are just going to absolutely simply disagree, and so is the game of baseball. The game of baseball doesn't work like that. Tanner Scott can tell you that. Tony Forkas, the Dodgers should build a statue of Chase Utley. He changed the culture more than anybody. That's a good point. Chase Utley had a really, I mean, he was that kind of just that glue guy, right? That he would represent the culture we talk about always with the Dodgers. David Razor, heard a rumor Shohei brought decoy to the player meeting to seal the deal. Yeah, Dodgers dogs. Yeah, that's dogs, man. I love. We just got through taking our 2 babies for. I can't say the word, otherwise they'll lose it. But we just got back here just a little bit ago from taking them. So we obviously we love the babies here on Dodgers Dogs, our own Dodgers Dogs. So here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about some of the. We've been talking about spring training, right? Okay. So what I wanted to do now is I wanted to talk about some of the guys maybe you haven't heard of, because they are the non-roster invitees. Okay. Now, what does it mean to be a non-roster invitee? That means you're not on the 40-man. Okay. So if you're not on the 40-man roster, then actually, let me get to this right here and I will show you. Give me just a second. And we will get this on the screen and you can look at all of them for yourself. Here it is right here. Let me click this over. Now look, you right here. Here's all the Dodgers non-roster invitees. So what does that mean? It means that they're not on this list right here. So none of the guys that were invited that are called non-roster invitees are on this 40-man, but they're invited to spring training. Now, does that mean that if you weren't invited to spring training, that you won't play on the big field? Absolutely not. You do not see Austin Gauthier on here, right? Well, actually, I think you do down here. Yeah, Austin Gauthier right here. But there will be a lot of guys, like let's say a Jose Ramos or whoever it may be. There will be a lot of guys that aren't invited that are non-roster, meaning non-40-man, that will see a lot of action. Not a lot, but that will see action on the main field. But the guys that are non-roster invitees are guys that were invited. Basically, it's just, hey, we like you and we're looking forward to seeing you. We just don't have a spot on the 40-man. So who are those guys? The guy I want to talk about, the four guys I really wanted to talk about were Sam Carlson, Julian Fernandez, Giovanni Gallegos, and Justin Jarvis. It is classic textbook Dodgers. So how is it textbook Dodgers? Sam Carlson, 3rd round draft pick back in 2017. He was a huge deal coming out. The Dodgers, first of all, they love going and getting guys that used to be like a Zach Birdie, that, of course, he never made the major leagues, but guys that were drafted high but haven't panned out, like Carlson was drafted in 2017 in the 2nd round. And so he was absolutely a huge deal coming out, but just hasn't panned out, haven't worked out. Actually ended up finding himself in indie ball, I believe in 2023. And then after 6 years of service time in the minor leagues, just like Drew Avens, he timed out. He became a free agent. And as a free agent, he chose the Dodgers. So there's a number one. Classic Dodgers. They love going and getting guys who used to be, or not used to be, who were back when they got drafted a long time ago, sometimes, high draft picks, because that tells the Dodgers they were a high draft pick for a reason. That means that they have big time tools that just have not been tapped into yet, right? Okay. So the next guy I wanted to talk about was Julian Fernandez, to kind of just keep on with classic Dodgers. So what's classic about Julian Fernandez? Pitcher right here. See this? Okay. He's 29 years old, so he's not even 30 yet. Okay. 6'6". The Dodgers, I'm telling you, they're going to get this guy on the track, man. He's going to have 7 foot of extension probably. I don't know that for a fact. He is a guy that has a little bit, I mean, we're talking 6.2 major league innings, but that's not insignificant. The Dodgers do like guys who at least know what a major league clubhouse looks like. But so he knows what a major league clubhouse looks like, and he's 6'6", which means he's long and lanky. And the Dodgers love bringing in toolsy type of pitchers that are long and lanky, that have extension. They'll probably unwind and unpack something that Fernandez has not been able to unpack before. Add velo, probably add a cutter. And then the next thing you know, Julian Fernandez is reaching his potential, right? So Sam Carlson, former really early round draft pick, big talent. That tells you he has big talent. Julian Fernandez, big, long frame that the Dodgers can work with. So what's another classic Dodgers move? How about Giovanni Gallegos? What's classic about him? Okay, nothing special about his major league career, right? He's a pitcher. He's 33 years old. So he is the guy in your system that has a ton of major league experience. So what is he? He is major league experience depth. So he's the guy, if you need, you can look right here, 335.2 innings. He's the guy the Dodgers, if they just need a guy for 6 days, you bring up Giovanni Gallegos, and he's a guy that you can DFA. He is the Nabil Creasmont of this year. Or who is the other guy that came to there was another one that signed a major league, that got DFA'd, signed a major league contract with Oklahoma City last year. Matter of fact, let me look that up. 2024. That's because that's going to bug me if I can't remember who that is. Let me get that name here in just a minute. Let me see if I can find that 2024 roster and see if I can't get a roster from them last year. If not, no big deal. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. So, classic Dodgers, Sam Carlson, former high draft pick, means he has lots of tools. Julian Fernandez, 6'6", the Dodgers can unlock him. Giovanni Gallegos, tons of major league talent, so he brings major league talent depth. And then Justin Jarvis, a guy that has no major league experience, and he did very well at the AA level, struggled at the AAA level. So he's added depth. He's a guy at AAA because I'm telling you, as loaded as the AAA roster looks, Oklahoma City, keep in mind, they started last year, first game of the year, with a bullpen game. It gets chaotic in Oklahoma City with all the deals and the moves the Dodgers make. And so having a guy like Justin Jarvis, that can be a guy that they can use, they can ship him down to Tulsa. Think of Yunel Choi last year, right? That's Justin Jarvis, a guy that they can send down to Tulsa if they need, bring him to Oklahoma City. It's only 100 miles apart. And he's just another guy in the minor league system that can get you through another game on Tuesday whenever you've made a million different transactions and are running thin at the AAA level for pitching because you've taken a Gavin Stone or a Bobby Miller or whoever it may be, taxiing them to Los Angeles so they don't get their turn for Oklahoma City. And you need somebody that'll go, hey, put me in, coach. I'm game. Whatever you need me to do, that guy would be Justin Jarvis. So absolutely classic Dodgers free agency pickups with Giovanni Gallegos, Sam Carlson, and Justin Jarvis, and the group that we just went over for the different reasons that we got through talking about. Carlson, Julian Fernandez. Again, Carlson, big-time tools as a former high draft pick. Fernandez, long and lanky. Gallegos, he is that quad A major league experience guy that you can DFA if you need. Justin Jarvis is the guy that will pitch whenever, wherever, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, whatever role you need him to. And so I love those moves. It's classic Dodgers. I just smiled whenever I saw those four names. And then also some of the exciting names. Carlos Duran, I said, I think that he stands to make. I went on Clint's show. He was the first guy out of my mouth. Carlos Duran, 6'6". The dude is finally healthy. He was coming off of Tommy John last year. Super excited about him. Obviously, Jackson Ferris speaks for himself. If you remember Jose Hernandez, he was the one that got taken in the Rule 5 draft with Gus Varland and that crop a couple of years ago. The Pirates took him. He came back to the Dodgers. I've talked to Jose, and Jose was not impressed with the way the Pirates trained him. And so he's glad to be back in the Dodgers system because of the training he'll get. Obviously, Jared Karros, I've said he needs opportunity. Now, Jack Little, a young man out of Stanford, a good relief, high leverage relief guy at the back end. We've talked extensively about Jose Rodriguez, covered him multiple times on our Down on the Farm segments. Hey, just talked to GLP. Griffin Lockwood Powell, Chris Oakey's back at catcher to add depth. Will not threaten Dalton Rushing. He's the guy, if you taxi Dalton Rushing, Chris Oakey will do whatever you want. David Bodie is a guy that I could see because he has minor league options, major league experience. This is another Giovanni Gallegos, quad A depth, a guy that you can bring up, you can DFA, get somebody in a trade for, and if you need a replacement for 6 days. Alex Freeland speaks for himself. We've covered Gauthier and Hosey at nauseum. Then you have Josue de Paula, Zaire Hope, and we talked about Wardo the other day. I have not really dove into a whole lot of Justin Dean as far as him being 28 years old and his track and all of that. So we'll get into a little bit more of him, but those are the non-roster invitees to the spring training this year. I thought those 4 I talked about were interesting to me because I thought they were pretty classic Dodgers, and then you have some pretty exciting names there beyond that. So, hey, we are going to go through the chat, and then we are going to get out of here on Friday night in the big town. CNAV says with Muncy, Barnes, and Kershaw still in L.A. equals no Bregman, they'd roast him. Yeah, that would be an interesting, and I'm going to say it again, this front office has earned my trust. I will trust them through a culture perspective. Does a former Astro fit in? I will trust them, whatever they tell me to trust. They vetted him. He's good for the culture. Fine. I trust him as far as that goes. So David Herrera can't wait to see Alex Freeland at spring training. I can't either. Matter of fact, I can't wait just for spring training all and all. So we got a couple more comments to get to, and then we are going to get out of here. Freeman, David Ferreira said that they gave Sasaki the runway to get the innings, so I think Rookie of the Year is a possibility, barring injury. We'll see. That would be a big deal if he actually does that. So who is the Rookie guy on the non-roster? Yeah, Roki Sasaki. We just saw him a minute ago because he did sign as a minor leaguer. So, and the Dodgers don't have room on the 40-man. We've said a couple of times they probably will wait to put him on the 40-man until the 60-day ILs actually go on the IL and they open up spots there. So, hey, yeah, Sammy Boy Smith, Yanks picked up Ramirez after we DFA'd him. Yeah, the sacrificial roster spot, CNAB, that last spot on the roster, always a big deal. Yeah, Sammy Boy Smith, Almonte got traded with Bush in that Zaire Hope and Jackson Ferris trade. So, hey, that's going to do it for me for Friday night in the big town on Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Don't forget, Sunday night, we're going to be talking to the AAA play-by-play voice for the Oklahoma City Comets, Alex Friedman, on our Dodgers Dawgs show. He's going to I was going to get into the Oklahoma City story. I didn't get into it tonight. I've been long-winded. I'm over an hour. So we will wait for that Oklahoma City story, and we will go through the entire thing with Alex Friedman. How the Dodgers, they used to own AAA Oklahoma City, at least have part ownership, sold their part ownership, Diamond Baseball Holdings, bought Oklahoma City, the name change, why the name became the Comets, that whole process, and then the roster. We'll go through all that with the play-by-play voice of the AAA Oklahoma City, Alex Friedman. So make sure and tune in on Sunday night. So until then, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been a lot of fun. So once again, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, it's a great day to be a Dodger.